for
Well,
Gobert.
just go guard Maxi Kleber in the corner.
Okay, but then there's a layup at the rim.
Fine. If you gave up twos, you would have won the game. They gave up 33s. You asked me at the beginning of the season about, what could the Jazz do to make you a believer, to make you a contender? And I said, address the small ball issue.
Nothing.
There is a small ball issue that they have. And I don't want to turn this into a playing Gobert off the court. This is what you have to decide. You have to decide that he's going to guard the guy in the corner. End of story.
Well, you got to get him help.
It's the same. You don't have to get him help. This is not about everybody else. I went back and watched every three they made. Every three. It's like watching Terrence Mann all over again. We've spent the last 5 to 10 years of basketball convincing everyone of the value of 3 over 2. They have a defense that now 3 consecutive years, the other team says, okay, if you want to set your defense up to value 2 over 3, we will make you pay for it. And they have a defense that values 2 over 3. If every guard gets beat off the dribble for an open layup, it's not as bad. If you just swapped out 5 of those wide open ass 3s for 2s, it's a different world. I went back and watched the Jamal Murray series. I went and watched the shots that were made in that Clippers series, and I went back and watched all the 3s that were made last night with Gobert on the court, just to see, is it all drive and kick? And it's not all drive and kick. But if you're going to have a guy sitting in the corner, and it's guys that are it's just shooting fish in a barrel, because otherwise you're going to leave us. You could just take Gobert's man and you can get one screen. Brunson did this 3 times last night, where the guy comes up that Gobert's guarding. He sets a screen. You come around the screen because you hang up the guy. As long as you set up a good screen, it's a wide open 3. This is how Jamal Murray had 50 points in a game. You got to do something about that. Either you got to bring the guy all the way up, or you got to have him going over to the corner. I don't understand how, and it's the analytics people that love it the most. And it's like the defense values 2s over 3s. That's what I'm told. He has to be there in order to help, because guys can't stay in front of guys. Well, if that's giving up a wide open 3, how is that good? I don't understand.
It's not good. It's terrible. And that's why they're tied 1-1 in the series, why they've lost those series in the past. And you're right. Because nobody on this team, can stop perimeter penetration. There's so many times last night, Mitchell, Conley, whoever it might have been, is just getting smoked at the point of attack on the perimeter. And then Gobert is in a position where, okay, if I help on the inside to prevent the layup, that means there's an open corner 3. If I stay home in the corner 3, it means this guy's getting a layup. There's no winning. There's no good other help defender on this team. There's no great lockdown guy at the point of attack. I tweeted this last night. Can you imagine if Rudy Gobert was paired with Mikal Bridges, great perimeter guy?
Though.
But can you imagine if he had Al Horford as a help defender on the inside? They could do more of what the Boston Celtics are able to do with Horford and Robert Williams, or Horford and Daniel Tice. It's like, can you just imagine if there was that type of other player on this team? And with Gobert, you can make the argument, well, I don't want to build around a rim protector that's making $40 million. That's a fair conversation, and I think it's something the Jazz are going to have to ask themselves this offseason. It's something other teams that might want Gobert are going to have to ask themselves that then as well, because there are limitations to what one lone player can do and their ability to impact defense. There are limitations because Gobert is great, and despite that, you're right about everything you said. He still can't stop this 3 versus 2 problem because he needs help. Your defense is only as great as your weakest link. And for
Well,
Gobert,
just go guard Maxi Kleber in the corner.
okay, but then there's a layup at the rim
Fine. If you gave up twos, you would have won the game. They gave up 30 threes.
I know, but you can't allow layups. That's no way to win either. Like, you can do that if your guys are getting stops on the perimeter. They don't have any perimeter rim protection. This is why Marcus Smart won Defensive Player of the Year, because this year voters decided, Bridges and Smart, these perimeter guys, we're going to value perimeter defense. That's what the voters decided. But if you don't have that, they don't have any of that. So for this Utah team here, they are extremely prone to ball handlers, whether it's Luka, who's out now, or whether it's Jalen Brunson, or whether it's Spencer Dinwiddie, from getting to the basket and either finishing, drawing a foul, or kicking it out to a wide open 3-point shooter. And the Jazz have no answers because their roster, to go back to that question I asked you at the beginning of the season, no, they did not do anything to prove that they can be different this year. They did not make any personnel changes at all. The roster's not playing any differently, which is why Mitchell is publicly saying same thing, same as last year. He's backing off those comments, but please don't back off the comments, Mitchell. Get in front of that microphone and say it again, because the front office needs to hear it. They need to hear it. Whenever the Jazz lose, whether it's this round against Dallas without Luka, which would be an utter embarrassment, whether it's this round with Luka returning towards the back end, or whether it's next round against the Warriors, blowing the doors off you again and just absolutely crushing you. It doesn't matter when you lose. However they lose, when they do, they need to make a major change to this roster. I don't know if it's splitting up Gobert and Mitchell. I think one of them should be moved, or you just totally change it and blow it up entirely. They have to make dramatic personnel changes to this roster to have any chance of surviving the modern Western Conference. I
think with the way that these coaches have done it, because look, the Clippers did it with an inferior roster. Dallas did it with an inferior roster last night, and so it's a stylistic thing. It's a way that they played. And again, we saw Denver do it the year before. And if you're not, if I can just screen the guard, and it's Reggie Jackson, it's Jalen Brunson, it's Terrence Mann, it's Jamal Murray over and over again, it makes it very difficult to play, a center just as a rim protector when the other teams can throw out 5 guys. And to not acknowledge that after it's gotten you beat 2 years in a row, it's gotten beat same way. Now, again, I think they can win this. Look, the Mavs
one thing, Chris,
made every 3 last night. Maxi Kleber, do you know what he had shot since the All-Star break from 3?
Like 17%?
Yeah, 18.8.
Wow, it was really 18.8? Oh, I was close.
18.8. Wow.
I just threw out a low number because I knew it was bad.
I think if you're Quinn Snyder, you probably, and I think he would win this argument if we were out getting beers and he's like, bro, a guy that shot 19% for the last several months shot 95% against us. Okay, sorry. I wasn't counting on that. Like, fair, right? It's not like Terrence Mann's been a dead-eye 3-point shooter either.
You're right.
But they're open.
You're right. And you said something in there I don't want us to forget, Chris. You said about with the Jazz here, you're doing this one thing, playing rim protection. You can't just win like with playing Gobert the way you have. They play drop coverage, because Gobert is one of the best rim protectors ever, and because the other guys on this team aren't quality help defenders, so they have to keep him there. Like, it's just the way they have to play. But with the Jazz, I had a conversation with somebody recently about this and like around the league, and they brought up a point that touches on yours here, Chris. They said the Jazz have tried to build their team around Gobert on defense the way most teams try to build their offenses. Like, it's around Luka on Dallas. It's around Harden in Houston. It's around this one star who makes everybody else better. The Jazz defense is built in that way around Gobert. Gobert makes everybody else better. They've been this top 3, top 2, number 1 defense for years now. This year, the only reason they're number 10 is because of him. Like, they'd be in the dumpster if it weren't for Gobert. Their logic is similar to how offenses are built. except we're seeing the limitations of that. You can go far. You can go to a game 7 against the Warriors with Harden and Chris Paul together. You can't go to that deep in this year's postseason anymore unless Gobert is getting some help. Like if they had gotten Jeremy Grant, that's not going to be the solve for them, but it sure would have helped. Like this team, he needs help. You can't do it with one guy.
All right. You also can't play that way. That would be my argument. You can't.
I think the way you have to play nowadays is you can't play one way. They play one way at a really, really high level, but in today's NBA, you got to be able to switch. You got to be able to play drop. You got to be able to play with your rim protector on the weak side help position, like Robert Williams in Boston. I'm going to continue going back to that example because a lot of teams are doing it. You got to be able to play with just that center on the court with other floor spacers out there. The Jazz play one way at the best level possible with drop coverage defense. But when they have to do anything else, so they just don't have the personnel for it.
It was
basically,
it sucks. Well, no, but it's basically like it was a replay of that Clippers game.
Yes, because they haven't changed the roster.
But it still does not solve the problem of a guy standing in the corner alone because Rudy Gobert's under the basket.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is because they haven't improved their perimeter defense, they don't have better stoppers, so he needs to help inside.
But how does that change that?
They don't have better interior help besides him because when Gobert's pulled out to the perimeter, it's Bojan Bogdanovic protecting the rim and help side.
And again, I'll go back to why do all the analytics? Why do we value 2 over 3 when it comes to Rudy Gobert, but in nothing else in life?
I'm not sure that's true.
We do.
It's a decision that the Jazz defense is making, saying if you help inside, you're preventing a layup. If you're looking at it we're talking about it in 2 different ways. You're looking at it from a results standpoint. I'm looking at it like, well, why is that penetration happening in the first place? I think we're both looking at it, with the same result here. Like, why they have to make this choice with layup or corner 3, but they have to make that choice because they haven't assembled the proper pieces around that defense that every other team. Like, if you look at every team that's going to advance,
it's not all the time though. It's not all open layups. Again, I went back and watched every 3 on the kickouts. There's a lot of times.
It's not everyone. No,
there's a lot of times where the defender is in good position, and it would have been
but
a contested.
Penetration's still happening though.
It is.
Of the time. Yeah,
it is.
Can we agree that their perimeter defense is lacking, and that Donovan Mitchell particularly needs to be better?
This is someone who watched him for 15 years. Conley's hurt.
He doesn't look 100%. Does he?
God, he looked terrible.
I know.
He's hurt.
Yeah,
that's not Mike Conley. I've watched Mike Conley play his whole career.
Yep. He doesn't look 100%.
100. He doesn't look 50%. Yeah. He couldn't do dick on offense. Nothing. Yeah, I think he ended with 0, didn't he? I think he ended with 0 points.
I believe so. If it wasn't 0, it was close to 0.
I mean,
let me pull up the numbers real quick.
Ridiculous.
Yeah, Conley did end up 0 for 7. 0 points, 0 for 7 and 22
I mean, come on.
Yeah,
even if you don't think Mike Conley's that good, even if you think I'm overrating him, that's not what
to your point though, like he didn't look as good defensively either. When you don't have Conley playing competent defense, Mitchell not taking pride on defense, Jordan Clarkson is no stopper. You don't have any great point of attack defenders. Royce O'Neal is your best wing defender, and he's good, but not anything special. Bogdanovich on this team, Hernan Gomez, Daniel House. Like there's some okay defenders, but you have Gobert. And then everybody else.
Well, and here's the thing,
every other best defense in the league, Chris, they have multiple guys. For Boston, the reason why they've been able to withstand the loss of Robert Williams is because they have Marcus Smart and Jason Tatum and Al Horford. Like they have so many guys. The Miami Heat have an endless list of great defensive players.
And the reason I don't want to beat up on them too much is because what we're going to see is they're going to end up winning this series if Luka can't come back. They are.
See, I'm not convinced. I'm still not convinced about that. I'm surprised. I'm very surprised, Chris, that you haven't taken a stance that the Mavericks could beat the Jazz without Luka, because I feel like I'm the one who's making that argument. Last week, I was the one saying they could compete without him.
Let me tell you something.
I'm shocked that I'm the one on this side here. I'm the one who should be saying Rudy Gobert is going to lead them to victory.
Let me tell you something. You find me a playoff game. Where a team shot 47% from 3 and lost. Come on, bro. 47. Like, they made everything. And it came down to the last two possessions. Now, if you want to tell me that they're going to be able to do that every time they play without Luka, then so be it. But that was extreme.
I will not tell you that. I will not.
That's an outlier. That's an outlier. I mean, 47%?
We'll see.
Who shoots 47% from three?
Terrence Mann.
Terrence Mann. Oh, God. If they get beat by this friggin' Mavs team, oh, my God.
Blow it up! In that case,
Dude.
huh?